Welcome, ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Wednesday, the 27th of December. Good to have you aboard, part of the Believe Podcast Network, presented as always by Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys. 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733 if you're involved in any kind of an accident, hit and run, motorcycle, boating accident, slip and fall. You let Anidjar and Levine put their skills to work for you, get you the compensation you deserve. 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. Glad to have you with us today. We're marching toward week 17 of the NFL season. The Dolphins passed their first test this week, week 16, and now they got their next biggest test of the season, because if the Dolphins can wind up winning this week at Baltimore, week 18 isn't for the division anymore, but it's still for first place in the AFC overall. That's what's at stake for your favorite little football team here. And like we said yesterday, we have a clear picture what the Dolphins need as far as clinching scenarios. I'll get to that in a second here. But first, a lot of us, we get time off right now. It's the holiday season. Some of us are working. You know who's always working this time of year? All the pro athletes. That's right. And you can make your wagers on the pro athletes at Bet Online. With NFL, bowl season, NBA, it's all in full swing over the holidays. Bet Online isn't taking a second off to make sure you have all the up-to-the-second odds, news, and info. Bet Online has all the sports wagering info available you need with both desktop and mobile access. Head to Bet Online today. Get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. So, we know where the Dolphins stand this weekend. For the rest of the season, only 2 games left. A Dolphins win or a Bills loss, Dolphins clinch the AFC East. A Dolphins win or a Chiefs loss, Dolphins clinch at least the number 2 seed. 2 Dolphin wins, Dolphins are the AFC's number 1 seed. How you load that? That's where we stand right now. So 2 Dolphin wins, number 1 overall. A Dolphin win or a Chiefs loss, number 2 overall. A Dolphin win or a Bills loss, AFC East champions. And if you want to get excited, I've been saying this the last couple days, if you want to get excited, think about it like this. The Dolphins are a road win away. If the Dolphins win in Baltimore this weekend, they are 3 home wins away from the Super Bowl. What? That's crazy, right? 3 home wins away from the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. That's awesome. I mean, and so here's the thing, right? The Dolphins have not made back-to-back postseason appearances in over 20 years. It's been a long time. The last time the Dolphins made the postseason, last year, 2022, then 2016, 2008, and then 2003. Last time they won a playoff game, 2000. It's been forever since they made the postseason back-to-back years. And so they're making the postseason back-to-back years right now. So the Dolphins are doing something they haven't done in a quarter century almost. And similarly, the Panthers right now are going through their best. Got my Panthers shirt on. Panthers back in action tonight. Come on, it's enough time off. Like Christmas break, it's over. Let's get back to work. The Panthers, the same thing. They made the playoffs for the first time ever. I don't count 2020 when they allowed 12 teams into the playoffs. For the first time ever, the Panthers have made the postseason 3 consecutive years. So both teams right now are in a great spot. But here's the thing. I didn't get all super excited when the Dolphins clinched their playoff spot this past week. They clinched playoff spot. They're in, no matter what. And you would think that that would be something you'd get really excited about, right? I wonder if I'm the only one who feels this way, because I didn't get all excited when the Dolphins clinched the playoff spot. To me, that's not a big deal. That's not the goal. That's the expectation. When I was younger in the 90s and then even into the early 2000s, we expected to be in the playoffs every single year. And it's what you do about it when you get there. And this Dolphin team going into the season, now last year, definitely wasn't the expectation. I think a goal would have been to make the playoffs last year. Was getting to the playoffs in Mike McDaniel's first year as head coach the expectation? Probably not. Definitely a goal. I mean, you got Tyreek Hill. It's Tua in his third year. Mike McDaniel's an offensive guy. Definitely the goal. But now we're in a place where getting to the playoffs is not a goal anymore. This is the expectation. Getting to the playoffs and the goal is to do damage in the postseason. And that comes with getting home games. That's when I'll get excited. That's why last week when the Dolphins clinch a playoff spot, I'm not celebrating, this feat or this accomplishment. That's the expectation. I'll celebrate. I'll get really excited when the Dolphins win this weekend, guaranteeing them at least a home game in the first round and the second round, or getting to a place where they could wind up getting first overall, and then you get the bye in the 2 home games. If the Dolphins win one more game where you're guaranteed at least one home playoff game, that's when I start to get excited. Just qualifying for the playoffs last week, it's great, it's good, it's the expectation. So, I wonder if other Dolphin fans felt that way, like, yes, we're in the playoffs, oh my God. But no, ain't no thing to me. That's not the goal. The goal now, and I've been, I don't want to, you can be a pig sometimes, you don't want to be a hog. Hogs get slaughtered. So I haven't been sitting here saying, we got to get the number 1 seed. We'd like to, it's right there in our grasp. Dolphins control their own fate the rest of the way. If the Dolphins so choose, the AFC runs through Miami. They control their fate. But my goal, I want to be realistic, the number 2 seed, where you would get a home game in round 1, you'd get a home game in round 2, and you'd have to go on the road. Presumably, you'd have to go on the road. I mean, maybe you'd be able to host a game, but you'd have to go on the road for AFC Championship. Matter of fact, the last time the Dolphins were the 2 seed was the last time they were in the AFC Championship game. That was back in 1992, and back then 2 teams got byes. So the Dolphins opened at home against the San Diego Chargers, pouring rain all game. I was there for that. They win 31-0. Great game. And the Bills, who were a wild card team, they beat the number 1 seed that week on the road. May have been Pittsburgh, if I'm remembering correctly. So the Dolphins ended up hosting, even though they were the 2 seed, they ended up hosting the AFC Championship that year. They lost 29-10 to Buffalo. Mark Duper had a late touchdown. Game was never close. And the Bills went on to, of course, lose in the Super Bowl. So that was the last time the Dolphins were the number 2 seed. They actually ended up hosting the AFC Championship game that year. But for me, I'll start to get excited when the Dolphins get one more win here. And one more win guarantees at least one home playoff game. So, clinching a playoff spot last week, awesome. I want home games. I want home games not just because, this is the best way to get to the Super Bowl. I want to go to a Dolphin playoff game. I haven't been to a Dolphin playoff game myself in 25 years. It was either 1997 or 1998. So either 25 or 26 years. Dolphins, Bills, wild card game. Doug Flutie, Dan Marino. Trace Armstrong had the strip sack at the very end of the game with Flutie and the Bills on the goal line, down by 4. Dolphins win. Huge hit, Trace Armstrong. Zach Thomas may have recovered the fumble, but it was Armstrong with the strip sack. Dolphins win. That's the last Dolphin playoff game I've ever been to. And part of, what I've realized now, as I've gotten older, I want to go to a Dolphin playoff game because what I've realized as I've gotten older now is sometimes you want to compare how these things made you feel when you were a kid compared to how it makes you feel now. And what I mean by that is, I got to experience that last season with the Panthers, where I remember very well what 1996 was like, and the Panthers make the Stanley Cup final. I was 15 years old. It was incredible. Last year was so great because now I got to experience that as an adult. I got to feel what that feels like. Not just having to wait 27 years. That's a prison sentence. 27 years to get back to that spot, but being able to experience what that feels like as an adult. Well, the last time I was at a Dolphin playoff game was 25 years ago, 16 or 17 years old. I want to know what it feels like. I want to feel that now as an adult. And look, I was 11 years old the last time the Dolphins were in the AFC Championship game. What would those nerves feel like for me as an adult if they were to get back to an AFC Championship game and the realization that they'd be a win away, a home win maybe, a win away from going to the Super Bowl? So I think that's the kind of stuff, the perspective that you wind up having when you're an adult sports fan, getting to compare what it feels like when you were a kid to now as an adult. I was a really cool experience for me last year with the Panthers. I mean, with the Heat, it's sustained success. And now we may have that kind of opportunity with the Dolphins, but also a first time ever opportunity with the Dolphins because, I mean, the last time they were in the Super Bowl, 1985, I was 4 years old. I didn't see it. I've never seen the Dolphins in a Super Bowl, let alone win one. I've never even seen them in a Super Bowl. So, anyway, it's a roundabout way of telling you why. All right, I'm glad they clinched a playoff berth last week. That ain't what it's about. If you're a serious team, if you're a team with real Super Bowl aspirations, you don't get nutty about clinching a playoff berth. You get excited when you clinch home playoff games. And that's what's at stake this weekend against the Ravens. And I know, I think there are Dolphin fans who maybe you're a little bit scared, all right, based on what the Ravens did at the 49ers. But here's the thing. I'm going to drop a little bit of a truth bomb on you. The 49ers had 5 turnovers, 4 interceptions from Brock Purdy. This Baltimore team, you look statistically, the Niners had better stats in almost every offensive category. I'm not trying to take away from the Ravens, but what I am saying is the Dolphins are not going to have 5 turnovers. If the Dolphins play clean football, like they did this past weekend against Dallas, Dolphins are going to win this game this weekend. I am not overly impressed with Baltimore's offense. I know Lamar Jackson, he's the guy now, right? Every week the MVP conversation changes. And Lamar, for my money, is the most exciting player in the National Football League. But I am not overly impressed with Baltimore's offense. And Miami's defense, we know, is awesome. You see what they did, or what they didn't allow the Cowboys to do this past weekend. So, you could be afraid if you want about the Ravens. Dolphins have beat them each of the last 2 years. Kicked their ass 2 years ago. Last year, the huge comeback. I am very confident in this Dolphin team this weekend. And like I said, the goal is to get the number 2 seed. If somehow the Dolphins don't win this weekend, I'm still super confident because the Bills are going to beat New England this weekend. Although New England already beat them this year, it would really be a shocker. I'll still go into that Week 18 here in Miami. I think either way, Dolphins are going to kick the shit out of Buffalo that Week 18 game. They're going to get that work. And get that work. But it starts this weekend. So they show they can win a big game versus Dallas. And now they can, if any part of the fraud discussion is still out there, see, like, I'm watching First Take earlier this morning. First Take, my guy Christopher Mad Dog Russo, of course, he's my hero. He's on First Take on Wednesdays. And did the Dolphins prove anything with the win over Dallas? That was the headline, right? Look, of course they proved something. They showed they can win a big game. That's what you've been asking for all year. You can't be asking for something all year, and then when the team does it, you're asking everybody, did they do anything? Did they prove anything? No, they answered your question that you've been asking all season long. But now, they can end that fraud discussion for good with a win in Baltimore. Beating Dallas, a win in Baltimore, all of a sudden, that conversation is over with. And now you get the national folks. And I like even when they're busting on the Dolphins, we'll get to that in a second. Even when they're saying nutty things, even when you got the guys on television like Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith has not watched Dolphins once this year. You know that based on his commentary. But I like when they talk about the Dolphins, man. They haven't been relevant like this in decades. So even if they're saying stupid things, and there's a lot of stupid things that are being said about the Dolphins, but even when they say stupid things, I like it. I like that they're talking about the Dolphins. But if they win this weekend, all that fraud bullshit gone for good. They beat a good team at home. Now they got to do it on the road. Against the team with the best record in the NFL? Okay. I know the Dolphin fan is worried about what happened on Monday night. I'm not that impressed with the Ravens offense. I'm not. I think this defense is going to be ready for them. And maybe we get Javon Holland back this weekend. Brandon Jones was back there making plays the last couple weeks. You get Javon Holland back. Ramsey, Howard. I mean, Van Ginkel's doing his thing. Wilkins, Sealer up the middle. Bradley Chubb has quietly had a very good year. And the last few weeks, matter of fact, he has been fantastic. So, I think the Dolphins are ready for this game this weekend. I do. You can be nervous if you want. I get it. There's a lot of... The stakes are very high. I understand you being nervous. But I go into this weekend, I am confident in this Dolphin team. You should be too. So, that's what we got going on as far as the Dolphins this weekend. We'll do good times and hard times coming up. You know how we do on Wednesdays is we're looking forward to Week 17. We tell you which teams, fan base, are having good times right now, which fan base are having hard times right now. I'll tell you what's hard times, all right, is getting this Colin Cowherd to say anything positive about the Dolphins. Now, I told you how I feel about Colin Cowherd at this point. One of the all-time great sports talk show hosts, but has totally lost his fastball. It really is at this point, rather than put out great content, it is very clear Colin Cowherd at this point is all about putting out content that makes you talk about him. He doesn't care if he's wrong. He likes being loud wrong. That's the point. And hey, we told you, like, he thought the Dolphins were going to get smoked. He's insulting the Dolphins going into the game last weekend against Dallas. Did he do a little bit of a mea culpa yesterday? Nope. Give it a listen.
There's nothing like him on the planet. I don't need to see passer rating. He wins 80% of his games, and he wins big games. People in Miami freaking out. Miami hasn't won a playoff game since 2000. Ooh, we won a home game over Dallas. Lamar Jackson wins games like this every Sunday, home or away. He's 20-1 in his career against the NFC, because if you don't see him regularly, you don't know how to contain him. You don't know what to do with him. You've never seen any player like him. And all it is disrespect and doubt. Tua and Lamar Jackson, same breath, stop it.
You see, that's what I'm talking about there. Like, look, all of us are allowed to have our opinions and be wrong about it, whatever. That's not a big deal. But you can't spend the whole week talking about how the Cowboys are going to kick the shit out of the Dolphins, and then when the Dolphins win, you mock the Dolphin fan for being excited about beating the Cowboys and winning a home game. You were propping up the Cowboys, how they're going to kick the shit out of the Dolphins. Well, forget about the being wrong part, but the Dolphins, they clearly then beat a really good team. You can't then mock the Dolphin fan for being excited about that win. That's a really good win. And then Colin would actually go on to say, in talking yesterday about the night before Monday Night Football, and you know, Tua, Lamar Jackson in the same breath. And then he went on to say, last night we saw what a most valuable player looks like. And then makes the point, you ever watch a game and think Tua is the best player on the field? Okay. You're right. Nobody says that. But how is that relevant when we're talking? It's not the best athlete of the year. It's the most valuable player that we're talking about here. Tom Brady has been MVP. Peyton Manning has been MVP. I've never, and those are maybe the two best quarterbacks of all time. Have you ever watched a game that Tom Brady played in? Have you ever watched a game Peyton Manning played in and said, that's the best athlete on the field? Never. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure most games, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, you could make the case the worst athlete on the field. So, what does Tua being the best athlete on the field or not have anything to do with how valuable he is? What a stupid fucking argument.